The following video is about something that's being referred to as closed shell system. Uh, so we'll just get to the point. In all likelihood, what you're talking about is something that is non-existent and is a meme on the internet. But let's discuss what the words closed shell system get associated with, and in some cases are clearly defined as. Any device or appliance or anything that connects in any way or could connect to the internet or network or any other device that doesn't have an external user shell. That means an interface of some kind that's meant to react to anything on the outside in any way. It simply ignores everything externally. And or is not connected to the internet in any way. Like literally it's just disconnected. Or a PC or computer network that you've hooked up to self-host via looping back information in a closed loop. A good example of this, and this is actually where somebody probably got the idea from to ask me on YouTube, was I set up a server and a client on my computer so that I can set up the server so that I can play the video game that has a technical requirement to use a server, and I just tell it to use the home IP address, which is 127 dot and a bunch of other characters. And or if you're running Rust Legacy, specifically the game I'm talking about, and you hit F1, there's a button labeled home. It's literally got a little picture of a house. That's for home. No place like home, and then a t-shirt that reads a bunch of numbers. That's your IP address for your computer when referencing itself. This is an egocentric or user system-centric way of communicating with something that would normally be considered internet-based or a server or whatever. And if it's in this closed loop or loop back, depending on the operating system you're dealing with, you know exactly what I just said, and or others similar to that, or just something that doesn't connect to the internet but has the same capabilities as something that could. There's several variations of this. But these are unconventional statements because closed shell system means a system where the shell has been closed when it would be able to be open. And that means because there's no interaction with the internet, because it's ignoring everything, your system is a closed shell system. If you're not aware of it, I am running a Windows 7 computer where I've locked down every single I.O. port, even when I do this loopback thing. It means that my computer literally is invisible on the internet for the most part. I can run it through a website called Shields Up. It's a test on the internet you can do. And it tells you what ports are open in a quick test, and then a slow test takes a lot longer and might show you a bunch of things that are open. A lot of you might have a web server open, and it's left open as a trap, which means it should be left open. And the idea is that it basically keeps idiot bots busy. The next one is some people abbreviate closed shell system to CSS, and that's not supposed to be done. Look up the disambiguation on Wikipedia for CSS. There's lots of things with that initialism. Next, mistakes. A closed shell configuration and or chemical closed shell setup, or other names for it, is found in any low reactivity element chemically, or chemically stable compound, completely filling valence shells, and or any state where all molecular orbits or regions, depending on the Bohr model you're using or not, are double occupied and or empty in one state or another, nothing in the middle. Because in the middle, if it's not completely filled or completely emptied as a shell, meaning the shell's just not there, it can be more reactive. Electron configuration, open and closed shells. These are, by the way, if you're not aware of it, there aren't really shells. There are domains where the electrons exist, that sort of thing. Then .clos or .clos with a uppercase, all of them, may refer to a network in 1938 as far as the discussion of a subject matter. That's just going to have the closed network on the Wikipedia page. And I'm going to bring up referring to Common Lisp Object System, or CLOS, which is on a Lisp cookbook page. If you see an extension like that, it might just be a file that's made for something. Also, some people will mistype things or just reuse an extension or even a seeming domain name or top level domain name on the internet, but really it's just an informal usage of a format. For instance, torrent and onion routers and that sort of thing will use an extension for various things that is considered quasi-standardized, like onion. And when that is used, those can be used as a sort of networking protocol for something. A good example of this is if I mixed torrent and onion, making it to where I've actually thought of this. Let's say I set up a computer to run a video game. Let's say I build one where I smash together Blender, Unreal, and Unity so I can make my Rust Legacy uncrashable server. This is actually something I thought of, where you would peer-to-peer network a game to where it would create a server that really is nowhere. It's just all of your computers communicating with the same protocol, creating the world you're looking at, and your computers would act as the processing cycles and hardware to just manage a server, which, if you're not aware of it, has very low requirements. It just has to have a lot of data storage or data bandwidth for any kind of occurrences. But it doesn't really require a server, as evidenced by people playing Doom and Doom 2 on basically over a network using 4 communications hookups with 4 users or more, or just using them to be screens. The idea is you basically make an ad hoc network, as I think the proper term is. And you could have them be a closed network, but going over the internet, and nobody would be able to get into them because they're using something so harebrained that nobody can figure out what the heck it is. And it could be done through any I/O ports that are just available on the internet. This would still allow individuals to look into the data packets, but if it was done in such a way that everything was encrypted, no one would know what it was. There would be no actual server to find, and the users would be behind the same thing that keeps the onion system and the torrent system working. But anyway, that's an experiment for later. Now, about the misuse of this above set of terms, or mixing them together, or squishing them together, technical terms, in dark web layer iceberg infographics about the Marianas Web. These involve all sorts of other things that are fantasy-based, which I'm stating for a fact these are fantasy-based. Like, here we go. Gandolium, gallium, garnet, quantum electronic processors, or GGG, EQP, or EQ, and or crystalline power controller AI, HARP weather and geoengineering, and Atlantis research, and all the other mysteries we can't get to. Those are also very, very close to being correctly referred to, if you're really looking for secrets, as closed shell systems. What that means is the information isn't in electronic form, so you can't hack it. You can't hack a sheet of paper or a book on a shelf because you can't. That's an example of you could, at the extreme end, call it a closed shell system, because technically it's a device or appliance that doesn't have any external user interface shell to connect to the internet, and or has never been connected to the internet because it doesn't use computing processors, anything. And also a private network where you hook up a printer to a computer and don't connect anything to the internet, otherwise known as an air gap or sneaker netting, also is listed the same way. So is this a mysterious subject matter to cover? Absolutely not. Is this a meme on the net? Yes. Is it used for copy pastas and for fun on the internet? Yeah, it's an interesting story. Does it have a basis in fact? Technically, but it basically just refers to a computer that doesn't have anything in it as far as software or hardware that would allow an internet connection, anywhere from no connection physically done to not knowing how to deal with anybody trying to talk to it over the internet because it's too stupid to do it. See also a DOS prompt, and even though it has a console and a set of commands that could do it, unless you order it to, it will ignore the RS-232 port you were using instead of the keyboard, which, if you're not aware of it, in the old days was just a serial port. So I hope this has been useful and informative. And it looks like somebody mixed some things together so that they could have something complicated to look up. See also, if you look up the most popular videos on the subject on YouTube, which I will give a link to, it will show people discussing hardcore mathematics or chemistry or something else. And unless you know exactly what they're talking about in the first place, the uninitiated on the subject matter will be beguiled by, well, apparently something very mysterious sounding. It's called math and chemistry and physics and that sort of thing. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. I hope this clears it up. And bye.